Hi, we are here with Andy Bell from Erasure. Thank you so much for chatting with me, Andy.
Oh, you're welcome, hun. It's lovely to see you.
Yeah, so I like to start these. I started doing these interviews via Zoom, as most of us did when the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And I really like to just start and ask, how are you doing with everything that's going on in the world?
I'm kind of doing fine. I've been apart from my partner since the lockdown started because he's in Miami, I'm here, blah blah blah. We're trapped each other. So it's a bit like I feel like a single white man, which I'm not, but it kind of makes me feel like I'm at home and I'm not used to kind of doing housework,
Oh, yeah.
So I think I've been doing quite a good job though. I mean, I've been washing up my stuff. I changed my sheets, washed them, did some stuff like that. But I have to admit, I'm a bit smelly. Um, I do need a shower and I do need a shave, you can see. But apart from that, I'm obsessed with the news. So I keep the news all the time, but that kind of gets me more depressed, more and more. But I feel so grateful for those people that are out on the streets and doing stuff and trying to, exercise their freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And try and change authoritarianism.
Yeah. Which there seems to be a lot of that going on these days.
Loads of that going on.
Yeah.
We don't want to follow Duarte, Bolsonaro.
No.
Don't want to follow these people. It's it's populist, and unfortunately, de-education has been going on for maybe the past 20 years or so.
Yes, I agree.
Make up their own minds, and
Yeah.
that's why we have reality TV, because it's dumbed down everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about how you look, and ratings, and that's not how real politics works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. The whole thing about education, I've been saying that since we got No Child Left Behind here. I said the Republicans are playing the long game. They're demonizing education, and it's just going to hurt us all in the end.
Yeah, I think it's just a shame that they cloak themselves within this religious blanket, and I don't think it. I think it's I think I'm into spirituality, and I love Jesus, I love the prophets, and none of those people would ever turn anybody away from anywhere. And they would care, they would look after people. I mean, the idea of a doctor turning somebody away from the hospital is outrageous. That is really outrageous. And they do that's done in the name of humanity. Give me a break.
Yeah. I agree. Well, thank you for sharing those thoughts with me. We are here to talk about the fact that you have a new album coming out.
Yeah.
Erasure does, The Neon, and I got to listen to it a little bit, and I love it. Yeah. So I wonder if you would. One thing that struck me. It feels very celebratory in so many ways and optimistic, and I'm imagining you were working on it for a while, but it's coming out at this time when we really need this hope and belief in love. And would you talk a little bit about that?
Honestly, it just happened. The record just happened.
Oh, wow.
We had the last record was called World Be Gone.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like to me, it was the Wicked Witch from the West. Is she? Yeah, they're saying, "Oh, well, be gone," kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and people said, because it was kind of like quite thought-provoking and stuff, and quite sort of political, I suppose, for us.
Mm.
Kind of, I mean, we had 3 albums with the title World in them. I don't know why. It's kind of like that was the end of a kind of a trilogy, really. And I think it just put it all to bed.
Mm-hmm.
It put all that stuff to bed. And, you know, I was just thinking, like, after the last tour, and I mean, last year I was with my partner, which, you know, you can't help but, not that you take it for granted, but that you're together. And what a blessing it is to be together with someone who you love.
Yeah.
You know, apart because of the pandemic. And you just don't think about what a blessing it is to be with the person that you're in love with, you know. And so, you know, he was there while I recorded the vocals, which we did in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And we did, Vince and I wrote the songs in Brooklyn, where he lives, probably July, August last year. And it was just, I think Vince was going through the same thing. It was kind of like this love of pop music, maybe from, you know, when I was 16, 15 years old. That was right at the beginning of the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I crossed over from punk into, you know, there was so much variation in music then, you know. We had like, I mean, in the UK here, we had punk, then rock, new wave, two-tone,
mm-hmm.
romantic, then electronic music came in, disco, you know, this all huge swathe of music. So it just reminded me of the time of getting so excited when something was coming out. You know, when you knew Voulez-Vous from ABBA was coming out, the album, or ELO Greatest Hits, or Kate Bush, Sounds of Love. You know, the album was coming out. You couldn't wait for the album to come out.
Right.
And you went to the record shop and just looking through all the different sections of music, and then actually having the music is like having a piece of art. You know, it's like owning a piece of art. And then especially when they had the gatefold sleeves, you know, you open the gatefold sleeve and there's all the lyrics, you have the photos, and you can put the album on and you can sing along, listen to the songs and sing along. And it was kind of like having a concert or a performance in your living room with your best friend, you know. And so those, I mean, especially when electronic music first came into my mind, it just took my body over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those electronic noises seem to, in some way, give me like acupuncture with music, you know.
And would you share what was some of the earliest electronic music that really resonated for you?
I mean, I suppose I have to say that the very first electronic track that I heard was "I Feel Love" by Donna Summer. That was like 79. I'm not sure.
Right.
But then, I mean, in the UK, I mean, Gary Newman was huge. That with Cars,
right,
which was amazing. It was an amazing track. But because it was number one for so long, it kind of, you got tired of it a bit. But then for me, the greatest electronic album for me, apart from Yazoo, was
which I love.
Yeah, you know, Yaz was the Human League Dare, the record called Dare with "Don't You Want Me Baby" on it.
That was so iconic.
It was genius. It was so genius. You know, every single song was like as soon as it came on, each song you were like, oh, I love this one. You know, and so I mean, one thing I really enjoy about with going to the US is going to like bars in the East Village in New York, or like nightclubs, and then having a jukebox where you can like choose any track. You know, it will go online, and like you can choose any track that you want to, and we just turn it into a electronic disco club. You know?
I love to do that. I wanted to ask you, one of the songs that really struck me on the Neon is Kid, You're Not Alone.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't have the liner notes in front of me, so
Right.
I'm interpreting it as a letter to one's younger self.
Yeah.
It is that's correct. Yes.
That's kind of that is kind of it, basically, in a nutshell. That's it.
Would you talk about this song? It's so beautiful and thoughtful.
Well, I think it comes from the melody, which which sort of reminds me of Justin Timberlake's "Cry Me a River." I think.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It was just this melody that sort of touched me so much that it had to be about that.
Yeah.
You know, it had to be about, you know, when you're a teenager. I mean, it wasn't so bad when I was a teenager. I mean, of course you have those frustrations, and you know, I mean, there was nowhere to go in my town. In my town, there was one bar that it was rumoured that in the back of the Bull Hotel in the bar you might find a gay person in there, but that was it. That was it, really. You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, but for me, it was when I was even younger, when I was like 10 years old or something, you know, and you're walking to school and you get called names, and you don't even know what those names mean. You know, you get called queer or pufter or whatever, and you don't know what those names mean, and you can't. And it's like you can't look it up in the dictionary, pufter, because it's not in there. You know, maybe it wouldn't be in there. But then when you did read it, if you could find it, it was so derogatory and horrible, and saying like it's mental illness and all this kind of stuff. But I used to think that I used to think that I was an alien.
I love that.
You know, I did. I think I was an alien that had come down somehow. And because I was very angelic when I was little as well, and
oh, you still are.
Oh, thank you. And had this lovely voice coming out, you know, and so I thought, oh, that's my purpose. My purpose is only to be an angel, you know, like
I love it.
You know. So as I grew on and moved to London, it was like I was so fortunate, you know. I moved to London with a group of social workers in the first place.
Amazing.
So I was like 17. So I didn't have a job then. So I ended up being their social worker when they came home from their job. So they were telling me all their things going on. And then after that, I kind of started going out to the local gay groups, organizations and things. And where I even got teased at one of the gay groups, you know, for my voice being posh, you know, not compared to how they speak in London, you know, and things like that. But eventually, you know, I was in a gay cooperative house, so I got like a really intense education, you know, from these people that work for like housing associations, gay switchboard, pink paper, you know. Ended up going around clubs and being a photographer for the pink paper What's On reviews, you know. And then in 1985 met my first lover properly, Paul, who I was with for 25 years, at the same time as meeting Vince Clarke.
That was a good year.
Yeah, it all came together in that year, you know.
Yeah.
And it was something that I knew. It was something that I was just working towards. It was just in my. I knew instinctively that I would work with Vince Clarke. I just knew it.
I mean, he's such a legend, and I mean, he was a legend before the two of you met. Yeah, now you've been together for 35 years.
Yeah, he was really a legend, and he is, and he will not acknowledge it. You know, he's kind of, you know, he's to receive this award, but I kind of have to receive it on his behalf, you know, because he won't go. He's he hates it, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But he really is, you know. And it's like when I was thinking before I met him. I mean, he was like one of the first famous people that I'd seen in London. And you used to see lots of people around because in this one nightclub, it was called Heaven. So I would see there Boy George, Marilyn, maybe Holly Johnson. You know, I mean, you'd see Divine on stage and all these people, and kind of. And then one time I went for an audition. It was for a spin-off band of Bow Wow Wow, this band called Bow Wow Wow.
Yeah, I remember them.
And I didn't really know how to hold the microphone then, you know, because I'd only practiced with the hairbrush. So, and it was at the studio, which was called Blackwing, which I didn't know. Vince used to half own it, and there he was there on the Space Invaders machine with his big fringe hanging down. And I was like, oh my God, look, that's Vince Clarke. But he'd been in my mind, you know. And then after, you know, Alison Moyet had done her first solo record called Alf, which I used to rehearse along to, and Yazoo, Yaz. Mm-hmm. So I kind of got this Alison Moyet type timbre in my voice. But I thought, oh, maybe I should write Vince Clarke a letter, see if he needs a new singer. And then I answered this advert in the paper, a music paper, and it was for him. Wow. And I was like, oh.
That was so meant to be.
Yeah, it really was. It really was meant to be, you know. It really was meant to be.
Well, I have to say, I'm with The Advocate. I've been in LGBTQ media for a very long time. And for me, you and Jimmy Somerville were really the first queer people that were actually kind of talking about it and being open in their music. Of course, there were other people that I could peg. Yeah. But when I first got The Age of Consent from Bronski Beat, and then I heard The Circus before I heard Wonderland from Erasure. And then, of course, I went back. And I was blown away by how unabashed and queer you were and celebratory. And I wonder if you could just talk a little bit about what was it in you that you were willing to take that risk and be so out there? It meant so much to so many people.
I mean, it was funny. I mean, at the time, it wasn't. I mean, I remember when I met Paul. I mean, he was an amazing musician as well, my partner. Mm-hmm. And I said to him, "Oh, you know, I'm going to come out in music because I'm just honest. I can't help it. You know, I wear my heart on my sleeve, and that's it. That's what you get. You know." And he says, "Oh no, you can't do that. That's what you'll ruin your prospects and all this stuff." You know, because we knew as well all the other people that were not out. You know, right. but we I mean, there was this amazing pub in London called The Bell. Now I think it's a restaurant, but then it was this pub, and it was really political, this pub. And we were like always raising money, going on marches. In this pub, I mean, you know, you would see Jimmy in there. Jimmy would go in there. And I think Morrissey would be in there. Mark Harmon would be in there. Not that they were out, but it was kind of like, we just had this solidarity. And it was, I mean, I was, again, same as you, I was so excited with when Age of Consent came out. Yeah. You know, especially like Small Town Boy. I mean, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. You know, and still, I mean, Jimmy is a hero of mine. He's a hero, you know. And so that was it, really. I just felt like I was back up. You know, I was back up for Jimmy a little bit, you know? And we did all these gigs then at the time, like at Daisy Chain. It was called the Daisy Chain, I think, but it was for like Food Chain for like people with HIV and stuff. And then, but just so many things, all these things combined, you know. Then actors started coming out, you know, Ian McKellen and on TV soaps here in the UK. And it was just like this huge, it was kind of like this huge wave of like grassroots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it really just happened.
Yeah.
It did, you know. And I know it seems like a conscious decision, but it was almost a subconscious decision.
Mm.
You know, it just all came out at once.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it was to me. It's Mother Nature. I think she's amazing.
Well, I just wonder, I mean, there's so many musicians and artists now who are out and they come out that way, and they're, you know, we've got Janelle Monáe is amazing here, and Sam Smith, and these people are just being who they are.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could be if it weren't for people like you and Jimmy having carved that path. And do you ever kind of sit and think about the impact that you've had on queer life?
No, I don't think you do really. You can't. You don't think about it because I mean, you know, I love that there are other gay people, and I love that it's now you can't count them on two hands.
Right.
You know, so, I mean, sometimes I mean I don't know who they are, these people, and they don't know who I am. So it's like, which is good, you know. Yeah. It's so, and I don't expect young people to like say like, oh, there's Andy Bell, he's like one of our forefathers, you know, like, because they don't, you know. It's like I'm like a granddad to them, you know. So I mean, I do. I mean, I feel very proud, and I feel very pleased that I think that I did things in the correct order, you know. Yeah. It was the correct order. It wasn't about waiting until you had a hit and then like, oh, all of a sudden, hello.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, exactly. And it was meaningful, the way that you did that. And you also were very open with your HIV diagnosis, which was impactful as well. And would you talk about the decision to be open about that?
Yeah, that took a while, that one for me, because it was really a struggle. It was a struggle, not only emotionally, but physically. It was a struggle. And, you know, I was diagnosed with AIDS at the time. It was, you know, because I had double pneumonia, and that was like, if you had that was called AIDS then, you know. They had these kind of criteria, you know. But yeah, I was kind of in denial for quite a long time about it, you know. I hadn't, you know, I mean, then gay men, I mean, we would go to the clinic all the time because you'd get yourself tested, not for HIV necessarily then, but, you know, all kinds of things. I mean, I can't read the list now, but, you know, all different things anyway. But then I stopped going. And I kind of knew why I stopped going, because I had this feeling, and it was this sort of like prickly feeling that your body had been invaded, like a virus. Yeah. You know, like the virus. Yeah. And it was true. That's what had happened. And you know, my own partner was HIV positive as well. So, and we had friends of friends, really close people who started dying, you know. And it was kind of like it sort of felt like they were being picked off one by one, you know. Right. And then the same time, well, a few years earlier, in the late 80s, I was some person had been arrested for stealing my leather jacket in a nightclub, and he told the police that I'd infected him with HIV, and it wasn't true, because I'd had my appendix out and they had tested me and it was negative. But at that time I was on tour, and my Paul had to take a certificate from my doctor to the newspaper that was going to print a story to say that your story is bullshit because Andy is actually negative. That was then. And so I rang my parents, my family, all to prepare them. in case this story came out. So fortunately, the newspaper didn't print the story, but this was all hanging over my head when I did find out that I was positive a few years in the future. So yeah, it just I had to just reevaluate everything, you know, and I was kind of, because I was in denial, I was just getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and my body was breaking down. So I had to. I mean, once I found out in probably 1998, and and they put me on medication, and the medication was like a miracle. It really was like a miracle. You know, it was like, as soon as I started, within a month, I was like back to feeling normal, you know. But this was from the period from 1998, and then I only became public, I think, in 2005. I think, I'm not sure. I think it was 2005. But it took all of that to get mentally prepared, because I had no idea what was going to be the reaction at all, you know. So but I just wanted to put my cards on the table, because I hate having a sword hanging over my head, you know.
Yeah. Well, and especially since you had essentially been blackmailed prior to that. That's a horrible experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, well, thank you for talking about that. I don't have a whole lot more for you. I just wonder if there's something else you want to say about the Neon, or I know that you can't tour, so that's sad. How are you going to support it?
Sorry, what's that again?
How are you going to support the album without being able to tour?
Well, we do have some dates penciled in for the new year, so I'm hoping, you know, it's going to happen. There are penciled in dates for the new year, so it just depends on what happens. I think it's all down to the vaccine. That's it. There's no other way.
No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, we're kind of stuck here. Are you in New York right now, or are you in London?
No, I'm stuck in London, and my partner's in Miami. Yeah, my flight's been cancelled twice now. Now I've got a new date, January 31st. So
oh my goodness, I'm so sorry.
At least it's okay. I mean, it's kind of, you know, there are places we could fly to if we wanted to, but I mean, I'm not sure if he'd be allowed in. I don't know, you know, or if you know,
nobody wants Americans right now.
I know. I'm sorry. I know.
I'm in Los Angeles. I'm like, I've been in my tiny apartment for 4 months.
Yeah.
It's okay. I have a sweet cat.
You can go in your car, can't you?
Yes, and I ride a bike. I go up into the hills and I ride by myself. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Andy, you know, I didn't want to geek out too much, but you were very meaningful to me when I was coming out in the 80s. And I just thank you for all of your work and being who you are, and for speaking with me today. It's really
brilliant. Well, I'm glad you're out, and you're beautiful.
Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, hon. Bye.
Bye. Take care.